Welcome back, Venturers. It's time for another discussion about VNs. I am MR, and together with Taurus, we bring up another Christmassy topic for you all today. Yes, it's that time of year again. Jingle bells, all that. A popular depiction in VNs during that time of year is with that special someone. So this is what we talk about. Couples in VN. To help us narrow down a couple of favorite couples, we invited the one and only expert on love that transcends familial bonds, BruceGoneLoose. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks again for inviting me. My name is BruceGoneLoose. I do reviews. I have an unhealthy obsession with horse girls, and it's glad to talk to you guys again.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on board, Bruce. Okay, so for what looks to be a very straightforward topic at first glance, the whole idea of couples in VNs tends to fly in the face of what's expected out of visual novels. Because MR, like the most typical example of a romance visual novel is one with multiple choices, and your choices affect the heroine's route you go down after the common route. And so the idea of, your main character being tied to one romantic love interest is a little bit different than the norm, but it still comes up plenty of times, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we want to examine and probably most likely focus on those VNs that try to present us with a definitive couple, but we'll probably sprinkle in those choose your own waifu kind of titles as well. Okay? So I feel like when it comes to this topic in particular, the three main categories we thought up are: one, VNs that feature single couple pre-established. That means in the premise of the story itself, there comes protagonist and his chosen love interest from the get-go. Another one, a flip side to that, is a title that comes with a protagonist and chosen love interest that they haven't yet reached that stage. So it's in the making. So what would be the example that you brought, Taurus, for each of those?
Each of those. Well, to clarify, to get just one of them down first, right off the bat, we can look at visual novels that only focus on a single main character and a single designated love interest. Like, these are the sorts of linear titles usually, and we've had a few key works like that. Planetarian, Lunaria. In my case, not a key work, but Qualia. There's several titles like that. I mean, usually they don't typically have many, multiple choices, because it's, like I said, a linear title focusing on the story and the romance that it wants to tell. So I think this is one of the more common examples you'll see of a designated visual novel couple. Official, I guess you could say, even though it's the only one.
Official by default, basically.
And then I've also, thought up there's Audubana Odd Tales, which is more plot focused. And I think you can afford to have more of a plot focus when the romance can kind of take a back seat. It doesn't need to be the A plot, the romance can be the B plot that builds in the background as the two characters have more and more shared experiences. And then you get that happy finale of, confessing their love and all of that all together. And that way the reader can go along for the ride. Like I mentioned before with Key, I think they have a lot of success with it. Lunaria in particular, I really enjoyed it. It got to focus on the few characters involved and got to really highlight their emotional depth for each other. But what about you,
I think
Bruce?
that's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry for butting in there. There are usually when you have a one singular couple focused visual novel, it's more closer to the shorter side. Stuff like, as you say, Lunaria or Planetarian. Specifically in my mind, probably my favorite one of that type would be Fox Hime Zero, which, Fox Girls. Feel like I've mentioned it on this podcast before. Mention again. Love the Fox Girls. Love the ears. But it's a very cute and relaxing casual tale about how a fox spirit and a guy who ends up secluding himself, come to be together. And it's also great in the fact that the couple dynamic continues even after, they get together. A lot of visual novels I find, even of, one couple or like one singular heroine type, they like to end it close to when the protagonist gets together with the girl, which I'm not a fan of. I need to see that cute stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox Hime Zero is an example of a visual novel that does do that, amongst other ones.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm assuming, Fox Hime Zero can afford to showcase a lot more of those cutesy moments when you only have, two individuals to focus on. Like in a typical, like, multi-heroine setup where you have a common route of the group setting and then you get to the heroine routes that splinter off. That takes a lot more effort and a lot more resources and a lot more time investment to enjoy versus something like, what you're mentioning here with Fox Hime Zero, right?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing is, like, when you have those kind of visual novels, even ones that like have an official couple, but you still have like a bunch of heroines, it requires a lot of setup. Like, you gotta like introduce yourself to every heroine. There's like a whole common route, etc., etc. In at least, one couple visual novels or visual novels with a low amount of characters, you don't have that. Which, I mean, it depends on what you want at the end of the day. But sometimes you just want to read or digest an easy romance story with few characters, and stuff like Fox Hime Zero can absolutely give you that.
Mm-hmm. MR, is that anything like that one title you read? that Made for Loving You?
It's so... Stop reading my mind, by the way. I was thinking about that one. It is interesting how little of a single designated couple titles I've read, but that one would be one of those, and how often this kind of story starts with a protagonist being in a deadlock situation, and miraculously he stumbles into someone who helps turn the life around. And that's Made for Loving You would be one example of that. And throughout the story, while there are other characters, either before he meets that one or after that one designated love interest, they were never candidates. He has one love interest and you see that relationship develops. But I don't think that has to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
For a moment, I'll bring an example of a multi-heroine VN in Baldur's Sky, but it starts by saying the protagonist already has a girlfriend, but forgot. That's their setup, the amnesia.
Forgot.
So, in the course of the story, part of the fun for the reader is piecing together how the hell they are together. Because given the state of amnesia and the perspective from you, the reader, all they do is bicker. That's your perspective as a reader. How is that person his canonical choice? And how that relates to the progression of the story. That is so intriguing of a setup. It is very interesting. Every single route and ending, you can explore other characters, and you feel like, no way that's his canonical choice, while this other alternative is so much better. It's so much better vibes. So, for example, Taurus,
I mean, I
imagine.
believe it. I could totally believe some sort of relationship
No,
where they
Taurus,
just argue all the time.
Listen. Taurus, listen. really the main heroine is someone you bicker with, argue, and get angry on, or maybe the better alternative is green-haired, childhood friend, superheroine. Like, what the hell are we talking about?
Like,
Tauron?
okay, hey, you don't have to convince me, dude. But I mean, all I'm telling you is that totally exists. There's totally relationships just full of bickering and arguing. Maybe it's their
Yeah, I
love
get
language, or maybe they've just got their own interesting little lives they're living. But like I said, you don't gotta tell me.
I mean, honestly, like that's my parents' entire relationship. So when you were saying like, oh yeah, that
Aw.
relationship's not
Oh, God.
doesn't exist, no, not in a bad way, but like, I was like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? I mean, if I had a girlfriend or a wife or something, I'd probably make a lot of like sarcastic quips, and she'd probably come right back at me. So I mean,
Okay. Fair enough. I feel like when it comes to the best couples, the ones I feel are the best, or they win in my opinion, they have to have amazing chemistry. They have to have some sort of natural banter between each other. And it can be as silly as pointing each other flaws. Yes, right? But I don't think being constantly angry at each other is the way. Maybe that's actually too much. And that's how Bald Sky tries to sell you that relationship at the start. And
Well,
over the time, you see how it develops. I would say investment of those characters in each other's drama, stories, life would also contribute to the best couples. And in my opinion, a very underrated point, every single time it exists, it elevates that peak, is whenever parents are acknowledged of either party. Because that is so freaking rare in VNs.
parents in my visual novels, I don't think so.
Go away.
Now, what you were saying does tie into another tangent, in that, you know, how the chemistry is very important and how you weren't really feeling it sometimes. You said we were like that. An important factor is that if you only have one heroine, then the reader does need to like this relationship. It needs to be something that the reader is willing to read for however many hours and enjoy the plot progression and get engrossed in the characters, you know, and so on. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, then, you know, this heroine, this relationship needs to be a success. And so I feel like, you know, that also opens the possibility of some people worrying that, oh, well, it's just, you have to be an inoffensive heroine of just generally cheerful and happy and bland, how some people would say. You don't really get too much leeway to be, to be risk-taking, to have, you know, someone offbeat, to have a uniqueness to this relationship, in the same way that you could if there were multiple heroines. Because if there's multiple heroines, and one of them isn't to the public's liking, then hey, that's only, 1 out of 5, 20% of the material? You're okay taking that risk. It's, you know, as much as us readers may not care, you know, the whole business aspect of creating and marketing and selling a visual novel is a reality. You know, these are some factors that have to be considered. And if you have one official, you know, couple in a visual novel, then that's the reality that comes along with it. And, you know, it's just something to think about.
On the flip side, and you will rarely hear that from, to borrow a modern phrase, harem slop enjoyer like myself.
Harem sloth?
There is a title. There is a title, although it's more from the light novel than VN. Ari Fureta. It's probably the title I felt the most appalled in how it dropped my interest by introducing more characters for protagonists to drool over, let's say. The first girl he encounters was so freaking perfect. Stop adding more. Just stop at one, please.
You ever had that problem?
That made me so angry.
I was going to say, I actually agree with MR on this one, because I mean, when you think about it, like a lot of these like single heroine heroine visual novels are usually, like they're upfront. They tell you like what you're getting. You can see what you're getting. It's a little sister, someone with fox ears. It's a childhood friend. Like you go into it knowing what you want, and sure, maybe they don't do it very well and you don't enjoy it, but like 90% of the people who are buying that visual novel are probably going to be satisfied because that's what they want. Whereas on the flip side, sure, you could definitely enjoy your multi-heroine stuff if you want, but I mean, who really needs a choice when there are little sisters about? So, in conclusion,
All right. All right.
MR is correct.
There's another interesting topic that you happened to mention earlier, MR, and that's about any titles that start out with our protagonist in a relationship. And I feel like these are definitely the few and far between ones. Usually, I swear, almost every visual novel, you start off single, and then through the course of events in the title, you get closer to a love interest, and then by the end, it's the happy relationship, yada yada. But it happens sometimes where our protagonist starts in a relationship. The only one I can really think of is Symphonic Rain. That's a classic where our main character is already in a long-distance relationship. And it does have multiple heroines and multiple routes. And so, I guess part of the drama involved is, yes, how does the story go from being in this relationship into this new heroine? And it's like, ooh, interesting. There's that tickling of drama in the back of your brain and how the story's going to develop. I don't think there's too many others. Oh, actually, wait a second. In a sense, I guess you could say that for School Days, right?
I guess, kind of, yeah.
Bring School Days.
School Days, I mean, it literally, the premise is that, our main character finally, confesses, and suddenly he's now instantly thrust into this love triangle. I mean, that sort of applies. I mean, well,
I guess.
School Days is a little
kind of,
weird,
the
though.
relationship is predisposed.
And that title kind of encourages you to flip-flop and do whatever to these poor girls.
Yeah, true.
Honestly,
it's all jumbled mess. Yeah, true.
Especially with School Days, but like those sort of visual novels in general. I mean, for one, obviously, like the end goal of most visual novels, or at least a side goal, is to get with the heroine. So you usually don't start out, but when you do, School Days, Symphonic Rain, at least for me, I always feel bad going on like another route. Like in School Days case, going for not any heroine that isn't the main girl. Same with Symphonic Rain, but that you don't get a choice, so you just have to pretty much cuck her. Like, I mean, I don't. It just makes me feel bad. I don't know about you. I mean, I know it's fictional, but
yeah, I mean, of course,
no,
it's.
I disagree.
Oh my god!
The one example I'm bringing is Amatsutsumi. The protagonist starts with a fiancé, which is basically Queen Bitch, and he is so much better with any other.
Jeez, dude.
yeah, what the hell?
Is this like the
No.
flip side of like there's the woman in a relationship and the guy's like, oh, I could treat her so much better. But it's a weird protagonist in that spot, and you, the reader, feel that way to him. How many layers deep are we?
Oh my god. No, but in all seriousness, that's true. There's very few VNs that starts with a protagonist in a relationship that they maintain. Because I feel like there's plenty of VNs that starts with, I got a recent breakup, and for the purposes of my VN starts, I am single now.
That's
Enter
a good point.
all the harem choices. In Amatsutsumi case, he is with a fiancé and continues to be with her for the majority of the game until he makes some choices to break it off.
Gasp.
And good. He should.
Oh my god, MR. But yes, like you mentioned, there's that incredible story beats involved. Because while you're reading the visual novel, it's always, oh man, what's going to happen? Is he going to stay true to his existing fiancé relationship? Or, how are things gonna go? How is it gonna go down? Ooh.
Exactly, and similarly to what I said before when I brought the example of Balsky, everything is telling you that's the one you should pick. And like, does that mean that currently he is with that character or not, given the state of memory and the fragmentation therein? Should he switch? What's going on? And that is a very interesting drive for that title.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, absolutely, go for it.
I was going to say, sort of segmenting from that. So you have visual novels that have multiple choices, right? But there's clearly one singular choice. The game makes it very abundantly clear that that is the main girl, right? Personally, for me, I hate when visual novels do that. Not necessarily because, in many cases, I don't dislike the main girl. It's just, I feel it likes to be very pushy in like some romance plots, or like, for example, there's like a main plot event in the common route that is romancy. So then you have that, but then you're allowed to like pick another route, for example, after that, and it just kind of ends up weird. I don't know if you guys have found that personally.
It's like that for Never 7, where, same structure, main character, and all these romanceable heroines. But during the common route, he gets an emotional moment with one of them, Haruka, and he kisses her on the forehead. And then we just go about the rest of the common route. And we get to the, the branching point later, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, that was still the common route. We're not in Haruka's route or anything. We can just pivot? What are we doing?
See you later, man. Gotta get kissed by other girls now. Like, honestly.
For me, the most hilarious example of what you're talking about has to be Princess Evangel. It's about a protagonist that gets enrolled into all-girls schools. Yeah, I know, I'm a boy dream. Again, I get it. And during the course of the common route, he has to prove himself gentlemanly, right? He's very virtuous, and he wants to earn the trust of the group of friends and the harem-esque circle of girls that orbit around him. And throughout the common route, specifically, I remember amazing character development for the samurai girl. I completely forgot her name. And then when it comes to the route split, she's not main heroine. So goodbye. Pick someone else. I'm like, what? What are you saying? That was the best one. Oh my god.
Oh.
Actually, speaking about my own point, my own example would be Alcana and Asuka specifically. It's not that heavily thrown in your face, at least not till the end. But she very clearly is the main girl because of her Mary Sue energy. And in one route in particular, not picking her, of course, she ends up just crying because of that. And it just oh no, I don't want to see that. Like, I mean, I get it, I didn't choose you, I didn't choose the main girl, I'm a bad guy, but you don't have to make me feel like it.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's some visual novels where, it goes into plot heaviness. I think Muv-Luv is the best example, of course, where you've got Muv-Luv Extra, and then there's Muv-Luv Unlimited, where there are, character routes. There's all the different heroines and all the different endings and stuff. But then by the time you get to, Muv-Luv Alternative, and the story's clearly moving ahead as like without any choices and as a single girl love story, in a sense, among other things. But then it's like, I mean, that does feel like a bit of a disconnect, right? How you were making your own choices, but then the game, the visual novel, very clearly intends for like you to go down one path, or like, you know, there's a main girl for all the promotional imagery and like any sequels or fan disc. I feel like it's a, you know, just like pick one or the other, right? Just like either go forward with the main girl who it's supposed to be, or like, you know, branch out, give the player all the choices. Like, you know, it's when you try to have it both ways, it's like it's like what you said, Bruce, where you have a crying heroine in the background, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Oh no.
Man, I would be way more angry with the pre-established true heroine, the de facto couple for Takeru from Movlov, if not for the fact they actually did it very well in the title. So I can't be too mad in this example. Even though we all know Kasumi is so much better, obviously, because, you know, rabbits.
Oh my god. While we're on this topic, Amar, if we're going to talk about favorites and stuff, who is your favorite couple in visual novels? Oh, you got to think about this, huh?
Listen, it has to be the Mischief Gremlin. It has to be. And I know it doesn't narrow it down. I need to specify, but the way they did Amatsutsumi is just fucking amazing with the last heroine. I can't even describe how freaking amazing her route is and how well it functions in a ladder structure. Again, this is something we hadn't elaborated yet, but when it comes to the final main heroine true route de facto canon, there are two ways of going about it. You can have some sort of multiple choice selection. For example, Mavlav Extra tends to say, oh yeah, just go pursue whoever. And at some point during the sequels, it will say, yeah, fine choices, etc. But there's one true pick, okay? Right? So it coalesces at some point. Another title does some sort of unlockable true end, the de facto finale and a send-off that tends to promote one heroine over others. Another type of doing that is more of a ladder structure. So having a main story in parallel to your opportunity of ending the story on a given ladder choice. And Amatsutsumi being the ladder structure VN works so brilliantly with the final character be ever present throughout the entire story, having amazing chemistry with the protagonist and be a helpful hand in every single drama he encounters and hardship he encounters. So yeah, it has to be Hotaru from Amatsutsumi and the protagonist Makoto.
All right. Bruce, what do you got?
I think, and I don't think very often, that maybe favorite couple is a strong way to put it, but I really enjoy the dynamic in Tiny Snow between the protagonist and Fluffy, at least in the first half. It's
Tiny
kind of
Snow?
hard to really... Tiny Snow, yes. A Chinese visual novel, about 5 or so hours long, I think. It's hard to go into it without spoilers, but at least for the first half of the visual novel, it's just the protagonist with his non-blood related little sister. Don't laugh, but it's not weird, okay? And it's just comfy. Like, their relationship is comfy. It feels healthy. It feels, you know, like you're living with a loved one in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, which is, you know, what you're doing.
Oh.
And I really enjoy that relationship between them. It's comfy, but it's also cute in many ways. And I think that's the first thought that I have when it comes to favorite couples in visual novels. I could throw out a couple others. I do also really like the protagonist and Emi's relationship in Katawa Shoujo.
Ah, nice.
Especially because like the relationship, was formed from running and and exercise, and it never really loses that aspect of it. Like they're always active, and it's an important part of their life. Obviously, they're cute in their own way, but yeah, at least for me, those are the two that I immediately think of.
Yeah, the vibes and the atmosphere and the connection. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
As for me, you guys gave some such impassioned examples. I am gonna say Saya no Uta from Fuminori and Saya herself.
Baby.
They're definitely my favorite because of just how toxic they are. Not to each other, but just Saya really brings out the worst in him. Because, I'm considering the without going too much into spoilers in Saya no Uta, it's, there's a choice, a pretty important choice halfway through that that affects the route you get, that affects the main character's personality and his character growth and stuff. But I'm pretty sure we all know what we're talking about here when I say I just really enjoyed seeing them bring out the worst of each other and how they made that everyone else's problem while they were just living like king and queens.
Let me get this straight. We picked the most wholesome green flag examples we can think of, and Tauros, you instead said, no, hold my beer. Not only will I pick the red flags, I'll pick the whole minefield.
The whole minefield. It's my favorite. Yeah, I'm not saying that's what I want for my life, but in terms of reading a story, in terms of the enjoyment, how much they were a great fit for each other, oh yeah, it's those two. Saya no Uta all the way.
I have an inclination why you enjoyed the Nobuverse now. I understand.
But yes,
I mean, it's a hate fap, but it's a fap nonetheless.
Oh my god, please.
On that note, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. I hope it was very interesting and that you all have some thoughts and ideas about the idea of official couples, or at least favorite couples in visual novels. And of course, thank you so much, Bruce, for stopping by.
You're welcome. I'll be here in the comments probably saying something stupid.
No.
So, see you then.
Oh, please join Bruce in the comments fighting over what's the correct favorite cup and post your own. On that note, thanks for listening and venture out.
Venture out.
Venture out.